In this lesson, we're going to look at encryption. So with encryption, the definition of how encryption works, and now encryption uses an encryption algorithm. Now I've underlined that and put it in red because it's super important keywords that you have to mention in the exam. So encryption algorithm is used to scramble the data or jumble up the data so it cannot be read. Now the original data is going to be called plain text, and a key is going to be used to encrypt that plain text. So the data will be encrypted from plain text into ciphertext. So this is plain text, this is the ciphertext, and then we use a decryption key to bring it back to plain text. Now the purpose of encryption is to scramble or jumble up the data so it becomes unreadable, which means that even if it's intercepted, whoever intercepts that data will require a decryption key to decrypt the text. And if they don't have the decryption key, they will not be able to read your data, even if they manage to get it. Now, to increase the level of security provided by encryption, you can increase the length of bits. So that's how many bits we have in the encryption. So the more bits you have, the more possible combinations of symbols, letters, numbers of a key, which means that brute force attack will take longer to decrypt it, and the longer it is, the less likely it will be able to actually manage to decrypt it in the first place. So this will stop brute force methods from decrypting the key. So increasing the length of bits. There are two types of encryption. So we have symmetric encryption and asymmetric encryption. Symmetric encryption uses the same key to encrypt and decrypt the message. So requires both parties to have a copy of the key. On the other hand, the asymmetric encryption will require two keys. So two keys will be used. One key will encrypt the data, which can then be publicly distributed, and then a different key can then be used to decrypt the data. Now this decryption key will be kept private, so is not shared with anyone. This means that it's going to be more secure, as it means that you never have to send your decryption key to anyone. Here is an exam question from the 2024 paper. It says, explain how data is encrypted using symmetric. Now with symmetric, we need to remember that only one key will be used. And we also need to think about the plain text, the ciphertext. So to answer this, you say data is encrypted and decrypted using the same key. So it's important to mention that the same key is used. Plain text is going to be encrypted to ciphertext. Data is encrypted using an encryption algorithm, as we mentioned before. So the word algorithm is super important. That uses a key. Now the key can then be generated using an algorithm as well, and is transmitted to the receiver. So this is only 4 marks here. So saying the first point at the top, and then any 3 from the bottom one will give you the 4 mark. And for the purpose of encryption, obviously to jumble up the data so it becomes meaningless, which means even if intercepted, no one will be able to get it. Here is another exam question on encryption. So here it says something is encrypted into something. Now here, the plain text is going to be encrypted into ciphertext using a public key. The encrypted data is then transmitted from the sender to receiver, and the encrypted data is then decrypted using a private key. So this describes asymmetric encryption. There are a lot more exam questions that you can do on this unit, which you will find in the website here, alongside the PowerPoint, all the exam questions and the answers on DB Tutors. So once you click on Computer Science resources on dbtutors.com, you will be able to download it from the data transmission unit So it's paper one theory, and then the second one.